and welcome back to Disappointing Turtle. I am Creed. Thank you ever so much for coming here to spend a little bit of time with me. Absolutely magic. So I have been doing some KOA GOG videos, sort of, what would I call them, comparative videos I suppose, and this is going to be the second one. So in the first one I just kind of compared the general gameplay, and in this one we are going to have a look at which one is more cost effective. So yeah, I think it's one that people would be interested in because we can weigh some stuff up and have a little look a little bit deeper into the stuff that's really important to you guys, i.e. how much money you're going to have to spend, if anything at all, because we all know that I do love a bit of free playing, although, disclaimer, I've obviously had to spend a little bit of money on a couple of things just to be able to make this video, to see what stuff is worthwhile, relevant, etc. And I am not talking big bucks because I am still a non-spender. So first of all, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I have got some great stuff coming up for you, and I would love for you guys to be able to get those notifications to know when all of my awesome stuff is coming out. So first of all, I just want to talk about the availability of free stuff in general across both of the games, and which one gives you more free stuff and makes more stuff available to you, essentially. So I've delved quite deep into the underbelly of the games to try and get so dramatic, to try and get all of these bits of information for you guys. And basically what my findings are, I think, is that Guns of Glory does give way more free stuff. But there is a really simple answer for that, and it's because generally there are more things to do. There's a lot more smaller little events and stuff like that, which gives you a lot to accumulate. But also there's a lot more buildings and things in Guns of Glory, so there's a lot more stuff to be upgrading, and I think that's probably why we do get a lot more free stuff, because it's comparative, right? So I guess with KOA you do get free stuff, you still get the same stuff that you get for dailies, pretty much is the same for both games. And even just like the login rewards and stuff like that, that's all the same sort of thing. You've got the equivalent to the spirit mines. What else? I'm trying to think if there's like an equivalent to the catacombs, what that would be. Yeah, there is one. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, which is really, really bad. But you do go in, and it has a lot more levels so than catacombs, but also maybe that could be more like expedition. I think that one's more like expedition, so don't think I've had anything come up catacombs wise. But saying that, the King of Avalon version of the expedition has two different like sections, both where you can get stuff. One adds to your reputation and the other one doesn't, but you get food and XP and things like that for your dragon and stuff, so it's definitely worthwhile. I have actually found, because obviously I've played Guns of Glory quite a while, and quite quickly on into playing KOA I realised that it was very similar setup to the old style. So straight off the bat I just concentrated on my dragon, which would be the equivalent of the airship in Guns of Glory, and I just started leveling that guy up as much as I absolutely could, because I know that when those stats come to the crunch, when everybody's built their gear and all of that, it is going to come down to dragon, airship, and I'm really, really going to need to have that leveled. So I've just been everything pretty much putting it into that. And KOA has its, so in Guns of Glory it's guards, and in KOA it's heroes. It's similar sort of thing, so you go out, you hit monsters, beasts, and you get your XP, and you get guard cards for, hero cards, not guard, it's KOA. You get hero guards cards. Jesus Christ. I've confused myself now. It doesn't take a lot. But you get them from doing their equivalent of Red Guard raids. What are they bloody called? Because I'm having to learn like 2 lots of stuff. The names just keep evading me, and I'll be in KOA and I will be talking to people about stuff and asking, oh, do you guys have this? And I just call it by the Guns of Glory name because it's just so ingrained in my little head that that's the only thing that comes to mind when I'm trying to explain stuff. But they're essentially like barbarian camps. There we go. I think that's what they're called. I bloody hope that's what they're called. But I hopefully will have all the analogy and lingos nailed down by the next video so that I don't seem quite so much like I don't know what I'm talking about. So other than the free stuff that you get in the game, obviously a major part of both games is having resources because you need to build up your troops and your buildings. And KOA, we still have traps, but they're called something slightly different, of course. So they still have the traps in there, so you're building traps as well as troops, and obviously siege, which is the KOA equivalent of artillery. Now, some of these things have obviously been made obsolete in Guns of Glory, so you don't have to build them anymore. But this kind of is a two-parter, I guess, where it comes to resources. So there are more resources available in King of Avalon than there are in Guns of Glory, for free, I mean. So they do this really cool thing that I really like, where when you donate to the Alliance, you get resources, and you also get like a little reward if you come in the top 10, which generally consists of iron, food and wood, which is always helpful, especially really early on in the game. But also you have a little territory box, and it's basically where within your alliance boundaries they have all of these permanent farms, but as people collect resources and as these little farms generate resources, you get an allowance of what's been accumulated, and you can go and collect that like every, I don't know, 6-7 hours or something like that. And I get like 1.1 mil food out of that 3 times a day, and you still get insta yield in KOA the same as what you do in GOG. So yeah, I think it actually works out that specifically because of that territory resource claim button, you end up accumulating a lot quicker. I don't actually need to use any food out of my bag for my troop upgrades, and I get more troop upgrades done in KOA than I do in GOG. There is another reason for that as well. Obviously in GOG my castle's higher, so my troops are more expensive. But I did kind of like, because I was building a farm up at the same time, so I was building a farm in Guns of Glory whilst building my castle up in KOA, just to see if the build speed time was roughly the same, how long it would take me to get there. So yeah, I think the cost of troops and stuff is roughly the same price. There really isn't much difference. However, like I said before, they've also got the traps and the siege that you need to be building, whereas at the moment in Guns of Glory you don't really, I mean, you need a little bit of siege potentially for your PvE march, depending on how you've set that up. And a little bit for gathering, because it's one of the quickest things, but other than that you don't really need it, whereas it still works as a defense in King of Avalon. So yeah, resources, I think you definitely get more from King of Avalon than you do Guns of Glory. And because there are less buildings, so Guns of Glory you have 10 hospitals, say 3 food farms, 4 wood, 6 iron and 6 silver, and 9 military tents. I think that's what I've got anyway. Possibly 10 military tents. I think 9. I'm gonna go with 9. But in King of Avalon, you only have one of each of those. So you're saving resources as well, because you're actually doing less upgrades overall. So I know in Guns of Glory, obviously you get so many minutes free if you've got Inez. And in King of Avalon, they have a guard that does a similar thing. So even that little bit doesn't make any difference in comparing how many resources you would use in both of the games. So we will just have a little look. I just wanted to get a rough idea of building costs and whether the resources would be roughly around the same. So I've got a screenshot here from Guns of Glory, Castle 26 going up to 27, and a screenshot here from King of Avalon, Stronghold, very imaginative, 26 going up to 27, so that we can just have a look and compare those resources. And as you can see, that is like a huge difference in resources. I mean, like a ridiculous discrepancy going on here. Okay, so let's have a little look. Obviously, straight off the bat, you can see that the food is so much higher. So 112 million for Guns of Glory compared to the 11.4 million food that you need for your stronghold in KOA, and that's like massive. I mean, later on in the game, food becomes quite hard to get hold of, but mostly because the troops are really expensive. I'm guessing that probably is the same for both games, because as I mentioned before, the troops are roughly around about the same sort of cost. But this early on, food generally isn't a problem. That is still nearly 100 million more resources though that you need for your castle rather than your stronghold, which is a massive difference. Wood 22 million against the 5.7 million that you need for KOA, and then the two really important ones, because they're always really bloody hard to accumulate, is the iron, which is 15.5 million silver for Guns of Glory again. Iron, Jesus, silver on the brain. Against the 1.4 million that you need for KOA. Oh my god! And again, same with the silver, 6.1 million for Guns of Glory. And just 700 odd K for King of Avalon. So the really interesting thing to note here is, not only is King of Avalon actually cheaper in resources, but there's less buildings to build. There's actually, I did work it out before I started filming, because I know that I wouldn't have been able to do it off the top of my head, because as is no secret, I am not very good at math. So essentially, and this is not including your troop buildings, an academy and all of that sort of stuff, but just the farms, hospitals, and military tents, there is 38 of them, compared to the 4 that you have in King of Avalon. So, what's that? So there's 34 extra buildings. Actually, let's say 33, because you've got the trap building on King of Avalon. But 33 extra buildings that you have to build in Guns of Glory. And not only that you have to build, but that you have to collect resources for. The resources for Kings of Avalon, I could collect that in a day. Easy. All of that in a day. And then I would have my next upgrade. Whereas you're looking at the Guns of Glory stuff, and that would probably take me a week to accumulate that via free play, for sure. So, we've done the free stuff and the resources and the upgrades. Packs is obviously something that you spenders will be interested to know about. And actually there, again, is a really huge difference in the King Avalon packs to the Guns of Glory packs. And it isn't what or how much you get in them, it's just more about availability. So Guns of Glory is like walking into a shop that is just full of stuff and you're being blindsided, or just reckless, so you end up buying a ton of stuff, especially if it's payday. I know you do it. Whereas walking into a KOA shop is like walking into a half-empty store where it is really easy to make your decisions because there just really isn't very much there. And there is a reason for this, and it's a pretty bloody good reason. There's just not as much stuff to upgrade. So again, King of Avalon is more cost effective in that way because there's less gear, less gems, less guard weapons or hero weapons as they're called in KOA. I haven't seen yet, I'm level 26, so I'm sure there's probably still some stuff to pop up. But I haven't seen like glory banners. I haven't seen what would be the equivalent of curios. I haven't seen what would be the equivalent of coat of arms. So we don't have any of those things yet. So instantly that's 3 things that cost Guns of Glory players a lot of money. You know, we've got the 49.99 packs and the 99.99 packs. That just simply isn't available in KOA because those things just don't exist. The upgrades on the dragon are a little bit more maybe extensive, but you don't need to spend any money on them. You get so much free stuff to be able to upgrade a little bit of your dragon daily. It isn't like the grind that you have to plug out in Guns of Glory where you need to hit so much stuff to get those components and those precision parts. It's much easier because, as I said before, it's pretty much based on the old airship setup in Guns of Glory, which makes Dragon really, really easy, and it actually does something more profound with the stats and has potentially a bigger effect, I guess. So it's more worthwhile, and of course it's a freaking cool dragon. So yeah, and gear and equipment, like I just said before, the packs and stuff to upgrade is minimal. They cost the same, but there's not as many availability because there is just generally more stuff available for free in the game. The gear, you get this really cool like mystic woman, and you collect feathers, some sort of juice, and something else, and you add them in and it mix, and essentially it gives you all the stuff that you need for your gear. You don't need to be buying any of that stuff. I will always... So I had a look at the honor challenges because KOA has the equivalent of as well, and obviously this is where we get a lot of the stuff for upgrades early on. It's generally only available within the honor challenge. So I did a little upgrade on KOA just to see if it was a similar sort of stuff that was coming out, and the similar sort of quantities as well, and it was. The one thing that I will say is that KOA does an honor, I could not talk there, they do an honor challenge quite early on in the game, which doesn't have great stuff in it, but it also costs less money. So it's a good way of just getting those early stat boosts to give you the foundation to be able to continue growing actually without spending. So I would highly recommend that. Guns of Glory do not offer that as an option. When the Honor Challenge does come around in Guns of Glory, it is also not always the new stuff for the first 4 weeks or 5 weeks, I think it is, but it does cost $4.99. You don't have that cheaper option. So again, KOA is yeah, winning on that kind of side of things, I guess. And the gear and equipment, there just isn't as many ranks of it, so there just isn't as much stuff to build. You can level up quite fast. Yeah, I mean, even like the basic equipment, there's only two types in Kings of Avalon, compared to the like, I'm not even going to guess off the top of my head, but let's just say 10. But it is considerably a larger amount than it is in King of Avalon. So yes, they win on gear and equipment as well. Now, There's one little element left, and this is where King of Avalon does not win, and it is possibly one of the most important parts, especially for Guns of Glory. But it's kind of a good bad thing, if there is ever such a thing. Bittersweet. I do believe they call it an oxymoron. I just threw my pen in the air. I got so excited. And Big Mike nearly went. Oh my god. Sorry, dude. Got way too excited there. So, gold. In Guns of Glory, you get quite a lot of it. Now, I know that you are going to argue with me about that, because I know you spend more gold than what you need to. But you get a lot of free gold in Guns of Glory. You guys do not know how lucky you are. And I get to a point, so I will generally save like a couple of 100k gold ready for my events. Takes me about a fortnight to accumulate that without spending. That is just doing alliance events and trying to come in ranks, I guess. Don't spend to get there though, guys. Don't do it. Don't do it. King of Avalon, however, you have hardly fuck all gold. There's hardly any. I think I've been on about 6k gold for weeks and weeks and weeks now. And teleporting and all of that sort of stuff still costs 2k. And they do have events very, very similar to a lot of the events in Guns of Glory, which I will go over in the next video, because they also have some freaking cool ones that Guns of Glory should have. And vice versa. Guns of Glory has some freaking cool ones that KOA should probably have as well. But KOA has quite a lot of events too, but they just don't seem to want to give up the gold. So you have to be really conservative with it. I mean, even something like setting a mega rally, it's still 2k gold. I've yet to set a Rega Mally. Oh my god! I am pulling out the tongue twisters today. I am yet to set a mega rally in KOA because it's 2k gold and I only have 6 after about 3 months of building up my account. Not great, not ideal. So I guess that is the place where you would have to spend your money in King of Avalon, where you don't necessarily need to spend it in Guns of Glory. I know obviously you get your gold in Guns of Glory when you do your top-ups and stuff, and they do the same thing in KOA as well. But as I mentioned before with the packs, there's a lot more availability in Guns of Glory than that is in KOA. So even taking that into consideration, there is less opportunity to accumulate lots of gold in KOA than Guns of Glory. This is starting to get so confusing. I hope you guys are following me, and if you aren't, please leave your questions down in the bottom and I will try and answer them as best as I can. So that's that on the spending. If you guys think of anything that I didn't cover, please just mention it down in the comment section and I'll make sure that I answer it next week in the next video. Anyway, up next we have got the third degree with Creed. This is the third degree with me, Creed. I never actually get bored of my crazy fucking intro, so hope you guys enjoy them. Anyway, serious face. Right, my gripe this week is not actually for you. It is for the developers, and I think this is one that every single one of you will agree with me on, and that is this. I'm getting really close because it's really, really serious. The guard drops are really, really fucking terrible, and they need sorting. And I know that all of you are thinking exactly the same thing. I don't understand why they spent money developing an opening scene that creates all this magic and wonder to only follow it up with sheer disappointment. Generally, I think this whole new graphic thing, and I did go on about it a little bit in a collab with Gun Muse. You can go and check that video out. But I think that when they decided that they were going to put in this new Shabangle graphic, one, they should have just done it for gold cards, so that we could get a little bit excited once a year. Secondly, those gold card drops, the S cards, are absolutely diabolical. It has really gone from one extreme to the other. K433 is coming up to its 2nd birthday soon. I do not think that we've had decent gold guard drops for at least 12 months. Based on growth, that isn't great, because what you actually did, and I'm saying you as the developers, is when you changed the airship around, you made the guards a very, very dependent part of the game. You can't actually run a decent march without decent guards, and I'm pretty sure that the devs are very, very aware of that. It makes you have to buy them. I don't think that we should be forced to have to buy them, especially when you don't know what you're buying half the time. That constitutes as gambling, as far as I'm concerned, and it shouldn't be allowed, especially on a game that does not have an age restriction but requires you to have a credit card. A little bit dodgy there. But yeah, I mean, it's actually, it's taking the piss. They were taken away, because obviously it used to be done on like XP accumulators and stuff like that, and it wasn't easy to level them up. It has never been easy to level up guards. They have always been really hard. But this is like extreme levels of just generally stupidity, and people are not going to buy guard packs if the only way that they're going to be able to actually upgrade said guard is just by buying guard packs. Now, I guess you guys have tried to do something about it by putting in the guard bits that you have in the main events, and the victory events and stuff like that, but it isn't enough. And even the drop rates for the well, I say drop rates on the banners, there are no drop rates on banners anymore, but the accumulation of banners is like pretty extreme. It takes a really, really long time to accumulate them up. Again, you've just brought in this new system, which is good, but I really hope that you are going to be upgrading that Grimmond. So like in 2 weeks time, that will be a different purple guard, or a different gold guard. Maybe you need to think about putting in gold guards for castles between a certain level, and purples for a certain level, and that will encourage people to build as well. So it's almost as if you're not giving anything away at all, which we know that's the way that you guys like to do things. So yeah, guard drop rates, absolutely fucking terrible. Have been for a really, really, really long time. I think everybody's been more than patient with it. But bringing out these new graphics and spending the money to make that, I feel, was completely pointless. And you may as well have just set your money on fire.
This is where I answer all your questions, little bit of banter, psych!
So, one of the questions that everybody has been asking for a really, really, really long time that has finally been given a half answer, because that's generally all we get, is about Kingdom Migration. Yes, it is finally coming. No, we don't know when it's going to be. So, Guns of Glory, every quarter of a year, they release a quarterly Q&A where they answer the most requested questions from the customers, us, the consumer, unless they just sit in a boardroom but and discuss the things they need to change. But presumably these are the questions that we have posted them, and Kingdom Migration is one that comes up a lot. I'm really sorry if there's like a lot of sound in the background. The heavens just absolutely opened and it is pissing it down. So I'm really, really sorry if there's some background noise. I don't know if I should sit closer to Big Mike or further away. I just hope he's not picking up the potential torrential rain that's going on outside. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, Kingdom Migration. So they brought out their quarterly questionnaire, and the number 3 question was about migration, and basically what they said is that Kingdom Migration will be announced soon. So we are all on the edge of our seats. Me and Gunmuse, I should say myself and Gunmuse, did have a little chat about what we thought might happen. Nobody actually knows just yet because the information hasn't been fully released. So we know there will be a merger. We do not know when it will happen. We do not know how it will happen. Because I have been doing these KOA Guns of Glory comparative, whilst I've been over in the kingdom in Kings of Avalon, I have been asking people how their mergers went down, what happened in the lead up to it, how they decided who would go where, if it would be entire kingdoms being merged together, or if it would be a case of just being able to move your castle somewhere. And anyway, what they did, I'm not saying this is what Guns of Glory are going to do, because that's probably a stab in the dark, 100%. They do a lot of stuff different to Kings of Avalon, contrary to belief, as I am finding out the more that I play both games. There is a lot of really huge differences. But yes, anyway, what they did was they actually had an event beforehand, and in the event you earned stars, and kingdoms with similar stars were basically put into a group together, and those kingdoms could migrate within each other. So say like K1 to K500, 501 to 1000, whatever it may have been. So that's what they did there. But then what you had to do is the kingdom that wished to migrate essentially had to apply to the kingdom that they wanted to migrate to, and then a process. I believe that the R5s of the first three ranked, sorry, I'm trying to get it right in my brain, of the first three ranked alliances have to approve that kingdom. So there is a bit of a process to it. I don't know how, or at least it was in KOA, I don't know how it's going to be done in Guns of Glory. The minute that they release any information on it at all, whether it's on Discord or through the Facebook channel, or whether it comes through direct mail, I will absolutely do a video on it the same day, just to get that information out there, because I know that it is something that all of us are desperate to know, because people in dead kingdoms, they want people coming over and livening shit up. People in kingdoms that are at war will be dreading other players bringing in their bigger castles to come and make an even bigger war, and kingdoms that are at peace will just pretty much be worrying about everything, because the last thing they want is people coming over and causing loads of shit and disrupting their lovely harmony that they've been playing in for however many years, months, and or even weeks. So I will let you guys know as soon as I get any information on any of that whatsoever. And with that, I think that that's everything that I've got to say for now. There's always more because I love chatting and I love the sound of my own voice. But yeah, so like I said at the beginning of the video, I have got something really freaking cool coming up soon. I'm not going to say what it is, completely top secret, but I'm really looking forward to making it, doing it, and putting it out to you guys. That's going to be absolutely amazing. I will be keeping an eye on Kingdom Merger so that I can bring you guys the info that you want. And my next video will be the last video in my KOA GOG comparatives, and it will just be comparing the different events. So hopefully by doing these comparative videos, you guys will have an idea of which game will suit you better, and once I get playing KOA a little bit more in-depthly, I can start coming out with some tutorials, the same as what I do for Guns of Glory, and hopefully start teaching, and hopefully, or maybe for my Guns of Glory fans, mwah, love all you guys, you might decide that KOA is a better game for you. Ultimately, all I want to do is do you guys a service, and I see that just so many people are unhappy, and so I come here to try and teach you to make the game a better place and to help you guys build up as cheaply and quickly as possible. But sometimes people just aren't compatible with the game. Either it's because they've been playing for so long they miss the old way of how everything was done. And if that's you, if you're sat there going, that's me, I am that person, then KOA is probably a really good place to go. I'm not saying give up Guns of Glory, just do both. Just do Guns a little bit less and invest some time in KOA. Or just pop over there and see what it's like. I know lots of people that manage to play count in each game. So there's that. Right, I'm going to stop rambling because I'm just going on and on and on. And if I sit here any longer, I will continue to go on and on and on and on. I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and chill out with me this afternoon. I hope that you have a lovely day. As always, please don't forget to subscribe. Click the notification bell and leave a comment in the section. Don't forget to leave your questions for me because otherwise I will run out of questions to answer in my segment. Give me some content, guys. Come on. Anyway, have a lovely, lovely day. As always, bye.